Hello everyone, this week we're looking at Avengers Infinity War in preparation of the release of Avengers Endgame. Now fair warning here, we've got Sol and our guest Howard, who are both Marvel fanboys, so this is a bit of a wankfest, but I'm there to try and keep them in check, and I edited it, so believe me, this is the short version. Lots of Avengers and Marvel Cinematic Universe discussion here, and speculation about what is still to come. Enjoy!
So, Marvel, we are once again returning to the waters of Marvel. Mm-hmm. We've already done an Avengers episode because Infinity War was coming out last year.
We've done everything. We've done everything Avengers. We've looked at everything in total minute detail.
We haven't, Alan.
What could we possibly be talking about today?
You know what we haven't done yet? We haven't done Iron Man 2 and 3.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh. we haven't done... No, I think that's it.
Have you done the Incredible Hulk?
We actually have. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did that in the run up to Captain Marvel, but here we are doing a proper look at Infinity War.
But who are we?
Oh yeah, there's that as well. Well, I'm Sol.
Hello.
I'm always here, and I'm like the resident Marvel fan, and then on the other end of the spectrum is our resident Marvel hater.
Which is not true at all. I don't hate the film. I'm just sick of them. There's so many of them.
Yeah, but you're a hater.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Haters gonna hate and all that.
Just a general hater of life.
Yeah. And he's called Alan.
Hello.
Well, he's not called Alan, but he pretends to be called Alan for some reason.
Sometimes.
So you can't find him.
Yeah, because he likes to slag off the blockbuster productions he's been working on and hope that they can't track him down because he uses different names.
Oh, that's clever. That's very clever.
And that third voice you might recognise from our Grinch episode a few months back. It is, of course, Mr. Howard Jenkins.
Hello.
What is Infinity War, eh? It's like the culmination of 21 Marvel films, is that right?
Yeah, it's a huge culmination of 10 years of films.
It feels like more than 10 years, to be honest. I can't quite I can't quite believe it's only been going for 10 years and they've got that much stuff out, but they have. But yeah, I mean, Marvel have pretty much, what's the word, redesigned the cinema model, or not quite. They've completely changed how Hollywood approaches blockbuster filmmaking in 10 years. It's quite remarkable the amount of impact they've had. I've been doing the big rewatch of a film a night on the lead up to Endgame. We're recording this like a week and a half ahead of it, something like that.
So wait, you're watching all those films?
Yeah, one a night. Except I'm really struggling to get one a night in.
Because of all your dates you got to do.
Well, that and this podcast, and I have to watch like fucking 3 Aladdin movies as well.
Shit, yeah.
But I've been trying to get through it, but I've been trying to do it to mix it up in chronological order. Ooh, chronological in terms of story rather than production.
Okay,
so. It barely moves anything around, to be honest. You start with Captain America, then you do Captain Marvel, then it's pretty much exactly the same, except Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes immediately after Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I think that's the only difference. Oh, and I'm going to do Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then Infinity War, because they happen at the same time, and it seems like Infinity War should lead directly on to Endgame.
Yeah.
So,
there is a theory that that Doctor Strange is set before. I think it's set before Winter Soldier. Someone, I think it was Screen Rant or someone. They did like a theorized timeline of the whole thing, because there's that bit at the beginning of Spider-Man: Homecoming where it says 8 years later.
Yeah. And it completely fucked everything up because obviously that doesn't add up at all. But then this timeline that it was making its way around the internet. Completely made sense. It was wonderful. And then I believe they completely ruined that with the release of Infinity War. There's like one line of dialogue or something that just completely ruins that whole.
Oh, really?
There was some. I saw an interview with the directors where they said something to the effect of, "Yeah, sorry, we fucked up." It was like
something to the effect of, "We fucked up."
Tell you what, though, there've been a few little things that have like unlocked, little Easter eggs watching it in order, which I don't think's intentional, but I like to imagine it is.
Okay.
There's a bit in Captain Marvel when they're trapped in a room, and then Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, does his little fingerprint trick with the tape to get out of the room, and then later on there's another one of those doors, and Captain Marvel just shoots it with laser hands, and he's like, "What? You could do that?" And she was like, "Yeah." Then in Iron Man, which is the next film, if you're watching them in that order, there's a bit with Clark Gregg, Agent, what's he called? Agent Coulson, who's doing something with Pepper Potts, and they're trying to get into a door, and he puts a little thing on the lock, and she's like, "Oh, what's that? A little thing that's gonna like hack the lock, pick it open or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, something like that," and then it just blows it up.
Yeah,
and watching them after, it's almost like, oh, they learn a little trick there from Captain Marvel.
Oh, interesting.
Don't think it's intentional, but I like it. It works.
Probably not, but yeah.
The other thing I also don't think is intentional, but again, it works as a nice little thing, is in the Avengers at the start, they're talking about the Tesseract to Mark Ruffalo, and he says, "What does Fury want me to do? Eat it? Swallow it?"
Oh, yeah. Oh, interesting.
Which now makes a lot more sense because the cat ate it.
Yeah.
I get
exactly. There you go.
So I'm looking forward to seeing if any other little things like that sort of appear as we go. But
well, Sol, we all know now that you embarrassed yourself with the last Avengers film and went to a midnight screening with all the nerds.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that again?
Oh, mate, I've got a ticket for not only a midnight screening, it's only a fucking double bill with Avengers Infinity War leading up to midnight, then Endgame.
Man.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I'm so jealous. No. I'm literally so jealous.
I've booked a day off work to allow myself to sleep the following day. God.
Well, am I correct? I've heard rumours that this new film coming out is like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Well, they've already broken it up into two. Why is it?
Well, judging by Infinity War, I think they'll make good use of that runtime.
Yeah. I would hate it if they felt the need to rush it, for the sake of giving it a shorter runtime. I would rather it was longer and they really gave everything, the weight that it should have, personally.
I hate films being too long for no reason. I hate arbitrary length, but sometimes a story needs a lot of time to be told properly, and I think when I watched Infinity War both times, it completely flew by for me. I didn't notice the runtime at all, and that was 2.5 hours, a bit more than that.
Was it? Jeez.
Yeah. Well, there are so many characters, and there are so many arcs, and just so many different stories going on.
Well, the masterstroke of it really is, in a film where you've got so many characters that you want to try and touch on, is bringing in basically a new character, which is the villain, and making them the central character, and really the protagonist in terms of the character arc.
Well, this is again. Should we jump straight to the ending, or is it worth talking about some of the other stuff? Normally, we'd be a lot more in depth with everything in the film, but because we've already kind of spoken about this one on the show, it just
Well, I mean, I was. What I will say is I thought the stakes were extremely high.
Oh my god, I have to say, rewatching these earlier films, I just did the Avengers again the other night. The stakes feel laughably low. To say 7 years ago I went and watched the Avengers and it was this huge blockbuster film and so thrilling. I watch it now and it's like, so what? New York gets a bit of, a few buildings get a bit of damage done, so a few windows are smashed. Oh well.
But it was just, that very first scene where he's like, he's basically ready to crush Thor's head, and then
man.
But then he just strangles Loki and then basically says that's it for him. He's not going to come back this time. And then he kills Heimdall, and then he beats up the Hulk, and it's just like you just feel and he already has the Power Stone and the Space Stone. You're just like, right, fucking hell, this is like the stakes are so high, and it just maintains that throughout the film. You're just constantly like, oh my god, this guy is terrifying and he's so strong.
I think we spoke about that as well, actually, how I felt that opening scene was an absolute masterstroke that they went that way. I mean, I knew they were going to open with some death to establish something, but Thor Ragnarok is such a beloved entry in this series. It's such an upbeat and happy entry in this series. And it ends in such an uplifting, sort of positive... to boldly go, we're evoking classic Star Trek, the future's bright kind of way. To go from that to then just basically wiping out Asgard.
That whole kingdom is dead, basically. That entire...
there's a few surviving characters and stuff. I apparently, what's her name's back for the new one? Valkyrie, was she called? Tessa Thompson?
Yeah.
What about what's his face, the director, doing his little voice?
Taika. No one knows yet, but I think everyone's hoping that Korg makes it out. Yeah,
I think they should have him, but he's like a brain in a jar.
He's made out of rock, isn't he? So you could just have like a rock head,
or just a little pebble, but it's still he keeps it in his top pocket.
Yeah, but yeah, it was just, and I think everyone was expecting or at least everyone who really analyzes these films, like we do, was expecting a death up front, but I wasn't expecting Loki. I thought he was too much of a fan favorite, too much of a money spinner for them potentially down the line in spin-offs, and if they ever want to make Thor 4 in some capacity. And I just thought, I thought it would be Heimdall. I thought it would be those sorts of characters, and the fact they went straight for Loki.
Yeah, straight away.
We're not fucking about.
They're putting a message out, aren't they?
Yeah. And that's why they did it, and it worked. Like you say, it set the stakes. And for the rest of the film, and I know when I spoke to you, Alan and Calvin, last time round, you didn't quite agree with me, but for the rest of the film, I genuinely believed anyone could die at any moment. So that bit near the end, when they do a bit of a fake out and make it look... Well, he stabs Tony Stark, basically, and then Doctor Strange has to barter for his life. I genuinely thought this was it, and Tony Stark was going to die there and then, because I thought, this is an appropriate... It's near the end of the running time for this film. It's an appropriate time that they might kill him.
Yeah, and we all kind of know that Robert Downey Jr. is going to bow out. We knew he was going to bow out at some stage soon.
They all are. I mean, the thing is, we know this new film that's coming out now was... Like, you're going to need them in that one. But presumably, at the end of this next film that comes out, there are going to be some characters that are permanently gone.
I think this is going to...
But like, not even within in-universe, you got to see it as a film watcher. You see it as, like, these actors have been playing these characters for 6-10 years. They've done the 3 films, the contracts are up, they're going to want to move on, they're going to want to kind of start updating it. And they've reached a climax point with this whole thing. You can't just keep making 3-hour films in which the whole universe is in danger.
Yeah.
They have to go back to something else. You have to kind of have a reboot. And throwing some of the actors out is a great way of doing that. You keep a few to keep a bit of continuity going.
Yeah.
And then you refresh your actors, get some youngsters in.
Yeah, completely. I love how Kevin Feige has been talking about this film, and he said, this is a finale. This is our Return of the Jedi. It's not the end of the franchise, but it's the end of this story. And obviously it'll go on, but that'll be a new story in this world. And I think he's such a switched on guy who has such an amazing grasp on what he's doing with this stuff. It's remarkable to say how much Hollywood struggles to get this sort of stuff right. You
do have to say, like, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's maybe 2 films that are kind of like, but all the rest of them are good, solid films at the very least,
Yeah, there's one that I would say is bad, and even that is an incredibly watchable bad film.
Iron Man 2?
Iron Man 2, yeah. And then I'm not a big fan of Thor: The Dark World, but it's mediocre. It's not like bad. I think Phase 3 has been their strongest slate of films yet. Especially when you go back and, like I say, rewatching this stuff. It felt like they weren't quite sure what they were doing in Phase 2 near the start, but it feels like they've got it down now. They have it so worked out, you know. So, shall we talk about who else dies in this film? So Heimdall.
Wait a minute.
Loki.
Are we talking about dying or becoming ash at the end? Because I think there's a significant difference.
Yeah, we'll cover it all, but let's start with
let's do proper deaths first.
Let's start with the real deaths.
If I recall correctly, Sol, your theory was that everyone who dies properly is going to stay dead.
Yeah,
and then everyone who's ash, it's still all up in the air, so to speak.
Everyone who's ash is coming back. They might come back, and then some of them die in the battle with Thanos once they're back. But to be honest, I think they're probably all going to come back. And I think the people who die in this one are in the surviving team. I want to go through them separately in a bit and see who we think's going to die. I think we should put like little gentleman's wager on who's going to make it out alive. But yeah, so in this one, Heimdall, Loki, and then Gamora and Vision.
I think that's it. I think everyone else either survives or is snapped.
Now, Gamora, that one really shocked me. I did not see that coming. I genuinely thought, for the fact that she's, like, number one, she's one of their only female characters. And they're quite understandably keen to, you know, highlight the one she's got. Number two, Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, they've still got a third one planned. There's still life in her arc left.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't expecting that. And she's the one I'm most concerned is going to come back out of the quote-unquote real death.
That's because the emotional resonance of that death is so important.
Exactly.
If they take it back, it's really going to hurt.
Exactly. I've heard a lot of people complain that they shouldn't have killed her, and I think, no, they should have. She was... They say it was a disservice to that character and it wasn't fair. I think the opposite. I think the fact that she is sacrificed at that point is so significant. It gives Thanos' story real emotional weight. It's genuinely quite moving if you buy into the big, grimace-looking guy. And
certainly. And there's a lot at stake for Quill as well, I think, and their relationship had really evolved, And
I think it gives her story real power as well in this. She's one of the best, most interesting characters and arcs in the whole film, if you ask me. The fact that she basically knows that she's putting her life on the line to stop this stone falling into this guy's hands.
Yeah.
And ultimately she pays the price for it. But I think this film does her character real justice that it wouldn't have done if she just made it out alive. And I'm worried that she is going to be brought back somehow. And I think if they bring her back, I'll be very disappointed.
Well, she might exist inside the Soul Stone or something.
That's
I have
a theory
feeling
I've
she'll
heard,
be there.
yeah.
I have a feeling she'll still be present in some sense. Maybe it's a flashback kind of thing or something like that. Because she is so important to Thanos as a character and what he loves and what he cares about. So,
and there is that shot of her as a kid at the very end that's mixed in the edit very weirdly, which I think a lot of people have speculated is her in the Soul Stone.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, on IMDb, the Avengers Endgame, she is not on the credits for that, the actor. So,
okay.
I mean, so if they're obviously keeping it a secret if she is in it, which would make sense, if you can.
But bear in mind the wave of absolute shock and elation that went across the cinema screen I was in when Red Skull turned up in this film. I wouldn't put it past them to successfully sneak anything into this film without us knowing. And then Vision, I think, is almost certainly a legitimate death. That's a character that, fair enough. I think they'll get by without him just fine. He was at the level where I think everyone expected him to be gone.
Yeah, he was never compelling, really, and he sort of served his purpose in Age of Ultron. And
that's it. I always really liked him, but it felt like he was just this bizarre little nubbin on the end of a film, and he didn't really have anything else to do. And
Yeah.
And then, of course, Thanos wins. He gets omnipotent power and uses it to kill half the universe by snapping his fingers and turning everyone to ash. How did you feel watching that, Howard?
It was just so not what I was expecting. You just don't expect that. You just expect the Avengers to win. You expect maybe they don't catch him straight away, or maybe they'll have to wait until the next film until he gets all the stones or something. That's kind of what I thought going in. I thought, well, he's probably not going to find them all, or whatever, because they've got to stretch it over 2 films. But then the fact that he got them and he just did it. It was just such a brave step, and I thought the scene was directed so brilliantly. Because what I loved about it was there was no music at all. It really, because I thought most other directors or whatever would they'd want to put some sad music as everyone is kind of evaporating. But I thought the fact there was no music, it really added to that empty feeling, and the fact that the world is just kind of just emptying and people are just evaporating. I thought, yeah, it really kind of went through me. It really chilled me, to be honest.
See, I was amazed it surprised people to the point that it did, purely because I've read the comic that it's primarily based on, and pretty much the opening of the comic is that.
Is it?
It pretty much begins with that, and then the bulk of the story is the surviving Avengers coming together and being like, guys, what the fuck just happened? Where's everyone gone? And then the bulk of the story is them, getting a battle together and going and fighting Thanos, and then having a fight with him, undoing it. And so I just thought, knowing that enough other people would have read it, that it would be really well known on the internet. Because I think I called it on an episode of this podcast, even. I think I said my guess is episode 1 is going to end, not episode 1, film 1 is going to end with him getting the stones, killing half the universe, and then film 2 will be them, undoing that. But it obviously, fair play to them. It's caught the vast majority of the world off guard. And I do think that scene is as difficult as it is to switch off the cynical part of my brain that's like, well, they'll be back immediately next film. Taken on its own merits, it's a really, like you say, incredibly well directed, quite chilling, quite emotional even. I mean, not everyone. There were people in the cinema when I saw it. Bear in mind, it was a midnight screening, so it was, the sorts of people who were going to be going with it. But there were people going, no, as each character went and their favourites went down. When Groot went, there were people audibly, really distressed when...
Twats.
Howard, do you know what his last I Am Groot was? James Gunn said on Twitter... he writes dialogue for Groot, and then they just say "I am Groot," but he writes it down in the script. His final one was "Dad," because he was looking up at Rocket Raccoon. It was young Groot.
I hate that fucking tree.
And then Spider-Man and Tony Stark. That scene as well. That was like the perfect payoff to their arc and their relationship that they've been building across the last couple of films. It was so...
and I think the choice to make Spider-Man so young was a brilliant choice to begin with. I think the fact that they genuinely just made him a 15-year-old kid, because that's what he's meant to be. He was originally, when he was bitten by the spider and whatever, he was a 15-year-old kid. And I love that choice to just keep that.
Plus, it's very important to the Spider-Man story. It's all about adolescence and puberty and all that stuff.
And it's one of the most important aspects to making him separate from the other 100 superheroes in this universe now. That's like his unique selling point, is that he's a kid.
Yeah. When he went, it was just... There was kind of so much more to it because he's so young, and because he is just this kid that's just kind of been thrown... Like, he's only just really been kind of... told he's an Avenger. He's kind of been brought in out of nowhere, really, and it's suddenly, he's suddenly dissolving with everyone else, and Tony kind of feels responsible for him. That will affect him in a big way, and it just, that was probably the one that got me the most. I think.
Same. I think because you, as an audience, you see it through Tony Stark's eyes, and Tony Stark has very much moved into a kind of surrogate father role. He's in that, or surrogate Uncle Ben role almost for Spider-Man. Yeah. I think there's a very significant argument to be made that Tony Stark shouldn't die and he should survive and live to kind of hang up the suit and just live a normal life but then they kind of did that in Iron Man 3 and then just kept it going. I think really Iron Man 3 should have been made after these Avengers films as a finale for that character. But so I feel like it's about 50-50 whether or not he's gonna survive Endgame or not, Tony Stark. He's the most obvious, significant guy you could take out. It would have a lot of emotional weight and power, but it's almost too obvious. They did a fake out last time, and he's already done a self-sacrifice at the end of the first Avengers that he survived from. And
what do you do when you make Tony Stark the new Nick Fury? Like he sort of becomes the sort of, he has to take an office job, take the desk job because he can't quite do the physicals anymore, but he's still there.
I'd love that. Let's say they're going to write him out just because he's too expensive to keep bringing back and they're sick of it and he's getting too old for it. I'd rather they just write that he survives it and goes on to live with Pepper. I feel like she'd be extremely hard done by as a character if he dies at this point as well. Her arc would be very unfairly treated.
Do you think if Iron Man hadn't been one of the first ones and they were just sort of adding that character in now, do you think they changed the name Pepper Potts? Because it's so comic book. They seem to try and get away from that more these days. Because Pepper is a dog's name, isn't it?
They did change the cat in Captain Marvel from Chewie to Goose. So there is precedence for this, I suppose. No, I don't think they would. They might have never revealed that her surname was Potts.
Is her real name Pepper, or is that a nickname? Because if that's like a cute nickname, you get away with it. Because like her surname's Potts, so you call her Pepper. Yeah, fair enough. But is it if her real name's like Lucy or whatever?
I think I think it is a nickname, but I can't remember for the life of me what her proper name was. I think it is a nickname, but it is one of those classic, Peter Parker and Bruce Banner. It's one of those alliterative,
It's almost Bond girl name, isn't it?
They might play it up a bit more if they were to introduce her now. They might have more of a Pepper Potts, really kind of moment.
Probably. Yeah.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. I'm Spider-Man then.
So yeah, who's in the cast of Endgame? I'm gonna have a look. I'm gonna see if there's anyone fun to do impressions of. I'm also gonna have a look at who I think's gonna die and who's gonna survive. Right, I'm looking on IMDb. Right, up top, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel. Well, she'll survive, like, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So what about Black Widow, eh? She gonna survive?
Nobody cares about her, but because it's a female character, they probably won't.
Well, they are, of course. They are making a Black Widow spin-off. That's part of Phase 4, one of the confirmed films. Yeah, but that could easily be set in the 90s. So,
yeah. I reckon that'll probably be a prequel.
I think it will be a prequel. More of an
origin story type thing.
Yeah. Black Widow could go. I don't think she will, but she could.
Is Jeremy Renner going to be in her backstory then?
I think almost certainly. They haven't announced either way, but I would be very surprised if he isn't.
Is he going to be in Endgame?
Jeremy Renner, yeah, he's in the trailer, isn't he? There's a big triumphant moment that doesn't play at all because you're meant to think, there he is, it's Hawkeye, and instead you think, oh god,
oh, fuck's sake!
How do you feel about Hawkeye, Howard? Are you one of his fans?
Not really. It's just a bit. I just don't really get why he's an Avenger. I just, when you compare it to the God of Thunder and a guy who can fly and has a metal suit and shoots energy blasts. When you have a guy who just has a fucking bow and arrow, I'm just a bit
it's the same with Scarlett Johansson as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
I agree.
I kind of.
But at least she really does
an engaging person.
That's the thing. She really holds her own and brings a lot to the film world to the point that you forgive the fact that it doesn't really make any sense that she's there. Whereas Jeremy Renner is so boring that within like seconds of the first Avengers film, they just have him turn into a pawn for the bad guy, like a henchman.
because they're just
because they haven't got anything else for him to do. All right. Ant-Man, you think he'll survive?
I think so.
I think Ant-Man 3 will happen. I think he'll. Make it
yeah.
Through. They've been very coy. They've said Ant-Man 3 might never be a thing. But, you know, I don't know if you saw Chadwick Boseman being... is that his name, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther?
Yeah.
He was being interviewed recently on some sort of red carpet, and they asked him about the status of his character, and he was just like, I don't know, I'm dead. And they were like, yeah, but, I mean, Black Panther 2's been announced. Oh, well, I mean, I'm dead, so I don't know how they're going to do it. You're not going to be revived. Well, I don't know anything. I'm dead. And then he just kept saying it till they left him alone. It was beautiful.
I like the idea that he genuinely doesn't know. he's moving on. He's doing other projects, and they're going to give him a call. It's like, no, you contracted in.
Yeah. All right, Captain America. Here's one who's for the chop. Do we think he's going to survive, or do we think he's going to die?
I don't think he will die. I feel like he's going to be another kind of... He's going to go off somewhere and have a happy ending elsewhere. I feel like he's going to throw in the towel, but I don't think he's going to die.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if they want some real connective tissue from the old Avengers through to, you know, Phase 4 and beyond, Chris Evans is probably the cheapest. He's said he's very happy to do as many films as Marvel want him to do, so it's not like he's going to be tough for them to renegotiate contracts for. And not to mention, weirdly enough, Captain America, one of the most consistent franchises within the Marvel universe. Like, I personally think all 3 Captain America films are excellent.
But I feel like the Captain America story has been told now. Like, I don't know what you would do with a new Captain America film.
That is true, but do you not think, you know, let's say they make I don't know, Spider-Man 3, and they want to have some connective tissue with another character, as they have done for the first one, and apparently they're doing with the second one. They're not going to bring back Tony Stark again, so let's pop Captain America in a little 8-minute
Well, that's it. I think
role.
he's a decent filler character. He's like the Ian Beale of the
exactly.
Marvel
That's what I mean.
universe.
I think
he'll be there forever.
He'll be a very good guy to just leave around as a bit of connective glue whenever they want him to pop up. That said, he does die in the comics very famously, but he was also, I think, president when he got killed in one of the renditions. Right, so I mean, they're not they're going off book a bit, I think. But there you go. You know, let's have him elected president for future Marvel films.
He can be the type who might go into politics, and like that could be his little story arc, and then he becomes like senator for Avengers or something, whatever.
Here's a tricky one then. Thor, Chris Hemsworth. I think there's a hell of a lot of life in that character still. I think they've only really just figured out how to use him properly.
Yeah,
frankly.
It's only really in his last 2 films he's really kind of kicked off, I think. And you know, a lot of that has to do, I think, with the amount of loss that he's gone through.
Yes,
and I didn't really... It's one of those things I didn't really quite realise it until he kind of had that little conversation with Rocket, and he actually kind of lists off all the people in his life that have died, and you're like, oh shit, he's right, like he's lost his mum and his dad and his brother,
and he's become one of my very, very favourite characters.
Same, actually, yeah.
On the flip side, I believe he's one of the many people whose contracts is up after this. Chris Hemsworth is gonna be getting more and more expensive day by day. He's got Men in Black 4 coming out soon. I mean, that could be a complete disaster for him, but he seems to be I like Chris Hemsworth a lot. I would, you know, I'd see his name in a certain type of film, like a comedy, and it will make me think, oh yeah, maybe I'll give that a go.
But that's it. I think Chris Hemsworth is the sort of guy who like has done this now and he wants to move on. He probably wants to do
that's
something
exactly
a bit more dramatic, like some really sort of meteor role.
This is it. I think Chris Hemsworth probably could go on to, you know, a pretty healthy career now. In a lot of ways, it's probably the smart move for him to call it quits here. The fact that he is a very popular character means his death would have a lot of resonance. His arc is largely going to be played out, I think, after this film as well. So I think he could very easily go. I hope he doesn't, but
then they've killed off Loki, they've destroyed Asgard and all that. Maybe this is maybe what has he got left to do if he is around? Like he's just
then I guess
isn't he?
I guess maybe the next logical step is him trying to find a new home and a new purpose in life in a way. Maybe it's him.
Maybe they just have a shot with him and Natalie Portman like on the beach. And it's like in the sunset.
Yeah.
And oh look, they got together at last. Except it's not Natalie Portman. It's just a strange. It's someone who looks like her, but you don't actually see her face.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, any of them going to get the chop? I said in Infinity War before it came out. I said one of the Guardians is going to die. And I thought it was going to be someone like Drax or...
I think we could all just we could all afford to lose Drax without any real...
Yeah.
I basically said it won't be Peter Quill, it won't be Groot, it won't be Rocket Raccoon. I think I said it won't be Gamora, but it could be Drax or... Is there another one? Mantis?
Oh, there's Mantis now, yeah.
They surprised me, it was Gamora.
Yeah. Well, I had heard that they were planning on doing a Guardians 3 and expanding more on her character, and that she was going to be more of kind of the front face of it as opposed to Quill. So I mean that was just a rumor, but it shocked me so much when she.
I could almost believe that now would be a good time to take out Peter Quill, except they're making a third one, and there's no way they're going to do that without him in it. There's just no way.
I think you could definitely have a spin-off Rocky Raccoon film. Where he just goes off and has an adventure on his own, but you couldn't sell it as a Guardians of the Galaxy thing. It would be sort of a spin-off Rogue One kind of thing.
Yeah,
Hawkeye could go. I don't think anyone would mind that too much. He's prime chopping block material. They have just announced a Disney Plus streaming service show starring Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, but I mean, hell, they've also announced one with Tom Hiddleston as Loki, which is a prequel series, so that's no guarantee of anything. And Scarlet Witch and Vision are in one as well, actually, and he's dead. Scarlet Witch, actually, she could go.
Don Cheadle?
Oh yeah, Don Cheadle, War Machine, he could definitely die. Yeah. But then if Tony Stark goes, they could end up putting a Iron Man. Nah, they're never going to make Iron Man 4 with Don Cheadle in the lead. That's not I was thinking they might do Iron Man 4 where he passes the reins, but if they do that, it'll be a new character. It'll be the young black woman they've just added to the comics.
Iron Woman.
Who took over as Iron Man recently. I bet you that's who they go with.
What about Stan Lee?
Oh, bring him back. Bring him back.
This is his final cameo, I believe, this one.
Oh, was it?
There was some talk that his final one was going to be Spider-Man Far From Home, but the Russo brothers said they're pretty sure he didn't actually manage to film it in the end because he was a bit too ill, so they're pretty sure this is the last one he's...
Oh, yeah, I mean, it would be perfect if Endgame was his final one.
Yeah,
it would just be so poetic and yeah.
Well, we're meant to be reviewing Infinity War here, even though we've not really been doing so. but shall we give our ratings? Alan, you gave it a 7 out of 10 last time.
That's correct.
Calvin gave it a 6, and I gave it a 10 because I think it was just that good. But
pathetic, really, isn't it?
I'm excited now because I think Howard's gonna help me up the rating a bit.
Don't be influenced by Saul's positivity.
No, I'm going to give it like a 9.8. Can I do that? Can I be that precise with decimals?
You can, but we'll just round it up to a 10.
We'll round it down to a 9.
Where would you put it, Howard? Out of interest, where would you put it in like your... What's your bottom Marvel Cinematic Universe film? And then what are your top 3?
Okay, probably my least favourite is Thor: The Dark World.
Okay, that's a good least favourite choice.
Oh wait a minute, let me look it up, see what I gave it, because I can't remember any of these films. Okay,
what,
Thor? The Dark World, I gave 4 out of 10. Ooh, so I think I'm on board with you there.
So yeah, I mean, my top 3 would be like it would definitely be Infinity War would definitely be in there, and then it would probably be Civil War.
Oh,
and then I don't know, either the first Iron Man or the first Avengers. Really,
Alan, do you remember enough of the films to have a top 3?
No, I mean I could look at my ratings, but that's the best I could do with you.
I think Iron Man would be in your top 3, Alan. It's the closest to a Vince Vaughn movie out of all of them.
Yeah, I gave Iron Man an 8. That's pretty good. Yeah,
That's really good for you. Yeah. All right. Well, for me, like I say, Iron Man 2 is my least favorite, but my top 3 would be. I don't know about positions 3 and 2, but it's between the first Avengers and Thor Ragnarok. They're squabbling over that spot. I think on the rewatch, when I get round to rewatching Thor Ragnarok, I think that might be number 2 there. And then Infinity War's my favourite so far. I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's probably my favourite so far as well.
Well, I've just found a list of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so I can look at my ratings all in one go. So Iron Man is my only 8. I've got several 7s.
You gave Captain Marvel a 7.
Yeah, that's the most recent 7. Lots of 6s. But here's my worst ones, okay? 4 for Thor. 4 for Thor.
The first Thor?
No, sorry, Dark World.
Oh, okay.
I also gave my only other 4 is Captain America Civil War.
Oh, you hated that one, didn't you? Even though it was good.
Apparently.
Yeah. Alan, if I remember, your complaint basically came down to, this film there was too many big celebrities in it, and they spent like loads of money on it, and I just wanted it. Your complaint was like, I want a $30 million movie instead of a $300 million movie for no reason.
Yeah. No, always.
Right, okay.
But you didn't justify it beyond that. You just kept saying, why didn't they call it Avengers 3?
Oh yeah, that's right. It wasn't a Captain America film. That's what annoyed me about it.
Well, yeah, but
that is a good. That's the only thing I'd say about it. Really, I felt like it was Avengers 3 rather than Captain America 3.
So, anything else to add here? I suppose we're meant to pitch our own idea for Avengers 4, but I think we've just chosen who's going to die and who's not. That's basically the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose we could speculate how they're going to do it.
Should we go around in a circle? If you were tasked with the insanely difficult task of writing this franchise out of a hole, following it up with Avengers 4,
how do you reverse the snap? Is basically
how would you do it? How do you think they're going to?
I think Strange is going to be the key to it all. Because he's
Well, of course, the title is named for a line of.
Is it
a line that he says, or does Tony Stark say it? No, he says it.
Yeah, Strange says it. Yeah,
but obviously it's established that he can fiddle with time and stuff like that and reality. Yes. But also the whole thing at the end of that film, I think, was he like saw all the possibilities, and this was like the best he was going to get. So he knows there's something's going to happen. He's foreseen something.
Yeah, so, and he knows that Stark is the key to everything.
Is that right? Is that what he said?
Well, that's why he makes a trade for Stark's life. He says that he needs him for the scenario that's going to play out. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's the key, I guess. It just means he's part of the team.
No, I think there'll be some sort of twist where it's setting up to make it look like him, but that's part of the plan because it's actually a decoy so that, the actual key, Jeremy Renner or whatever, is the real key is something you would never expect, like the cat.
Yeah.
Oh, do we think Goose is going to be in the film?
He might be.
I really hope he is. That'll be a round of applause when Goose shows up.
Oh, yeah. It would be a shame for him to have been set up so recently and for him to be so popular and such a great part of the film, for him then to not appear. I think it would be,
if Captain Marvel's coming to Earth, she better go to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters or whatever, looking for Samuel L. Jackson. There's a pile of ash outside on the street where he went, but then Goose is like using it as a litter tray. And she's like, Goose.
What about, if Goose, because loads of people have disappeared, he gets out, runs amok, gets hit by a truck, so then they have to bury him in an ancient Indian burial ground to bring him back as zombie Goose. but then he's out of control. He starts doing his octopus face all the time.
Yeah,
maybe
crossover.
It's even more corporate synergy. Don't know what company Pet Sematary is owned by. But, I mean, why not? Disney owns everything these days. I mean, fucking hell, they just bought The Simpsons. Let's put The Simpsons in Endgame. Oh, no. That's the finale.
Yeah. Homer defeats Thanos. That's what happens.
No, inanimate carbon rod. A deep cut reference for...
oh, yes.
I mean, I think what we're going to get with Endgame, and I will love this because, it's right up my street, but I kind of hope I'm wrong because it seems too obvious and too easy. I think we're going to get Back to the Future Part 2. We're going to get some time travel, and they're going to revisit a selection of greatest hits from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think we're going to go back to World War II Captain America times. We're going to have the new guy playing Red Skull, reprising Red Skull in the olden days. I think we're going to see Tilda Swinton's listed as the Ancient One in the cast list. Obviously, she could just not be in the film, and that could be wrong. I think Tom Hiddleston as Loki might pop up. I think we'll get a flashback to the Avengers. But I think Ant-Man's going to be pivotal, personally. I think this whole nano zone or whatever it's called, that's going to be a big thing. Of course, he's left in that quantum realm at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, but we know he gets out very soon because of the trailer. So I think there's going to be some sort of, how to get in and out of this weird magical realm where time stands still and... So yeah, I mean, if I was doing this film, I would do the Back to the Future 2 thing, but I don't think it would be as good as what we're going to get. So I'm just going to let the Russos do it instead.
I think, I don't know, I feel like they're probably going to make a second Gauntlet because I think, because I feel like that original Gauntlet is fucked. Yeah, by the end of it was like burnt to a crisp. Yeah. So I have a feeling they're going to go back to the dwarf guy and make another one so that they can harness the stones themselves.
I haven't considered that.
I feel like there's something in the idea of trading a soul for a stone.
Yeah.
I feel like, because that seemed like because if you look at it, every single time Thanos gains a stone, he either sacrifices someone or he gives somebody's life back or something.
Well, even quite literally with the Soul Stone, doesn't he? He has to literally kill someone to get that stone. Does that mean does that mean every time you go there and kill someone, you get given one of those stones, or is it a kind of one-shot deal?
Or does that one stone pass to you, you get it because you've made that sacrifice? Or
I think the only way that would possibly play out would be if someone was like, I'm going to sacrifice myself to give you guys the stone, and then they're like, no, Captain America, don't do it, and then he's like too quick and he jumps off, and that.
Well, I wonder if Tony's going to do it, and I wonder if that's why Doctor Strange needs him to be around, because he's going to be the person to sacrifice. I don't know.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention, Sol. I know you'll be aware of the Red Dwarf episode, The Inquisitor.
Oh, I love the Inquisitor. Yeah.
With the old backfiring time gauntlet trick, where they decode his, they reprogram his gauntlet so that when he goes to do something, it affects him instead of the outside world. So I think that's what they've done to Thanos. So now when he sees the snap, he's actually just seeing, like, when they created a false reality for whatever the Reality Stone did, or whatever that was.
Interesting. Yeah. I could see that happening as well, actually. Cool. Should we call that a day there? And
I think so.
Yeah, right. I just want to thank Benjamin Berry for making us do this.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you, Benjamin.
Just for giving Saul the confidence to make us do it.
Yeah, Alan was very of the opinion early on that
we've done all the Avengers films. How much more can we say? Thanks Howard for coming in, bringing a new perspective. Although your perspective is the same as Saul's, so you can.
It's a new same perspective. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, right, you'll be back in a couple of weeks, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. If you like Howard, come back in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, then you might like to go back into our archives and listen to our other Marvel-based episodes. If so, then go ahead to our website, dimreturns.com, and have a look at episodes 21, 47, 57, 73, 89, 99, 109, and 144. Yes, we really have done that many Marvel episodes. Next week, Calvin returns for something that I have even less interest in: Pokemon.